Hey Cannapreneurs, this week's show is sponsored by Dairy Berry's Recording Studio, located in Arvada, Colorado with affordable rates. Mark is well experienced and will make your show, music, or any audio you have sound great. Take a look at dairyberriesrecordingstudio.com. Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Cannabis Community Project. This is Brainstorm, bringing you your weekly podcast from the CCP studios high up in Denver, Colorado. Here exploring the business side of this newly emerging Colorado economy, focusing on the business, the patient, the retailer, even to you geeks in the garage, creating that next innovation in cannabis. This is the first media platform to celebrate fellow cannapreneurs just like you building sustainable business models while living the lifestyle. Let's move along. Episode 22. Can you believe it? We've been here 23 weeks with you since the beginning of the year. That's right. For those of you who have been with me since the beginning, we went live on New Year's Eve at midnight, January 1st, 2014, and we have not stopped since. So thank you very much for sticking around, and make sure to show me just a little bit of communication. Let me know you're listening. Go to the social media, the website, send me an email, send me a like, a share, a comment. Let other people know you're listening. Listen with them. Invite your grandma. Invite your grandkids. There's no wrong audience for the Colorado economy. So this week's show, we're going to learn about another great bit of technology and innovation going on in the business world. We got a Trim Pal. We got one of the founders of the Trim Pal talking to us about a pull pel, actually, I think is what we discussed. That it's not trimming in the sense of cutting and blades and high-speed turning and all that. It's actually plucking leaves off of dry plant. Plucking leaves off a dry plant and doing it in a manner that I guess is maybe controversial. I mean, he brought up the fact that there's some different methods out there and people are fed up with what they're seeing, and when he comes along and tells them it's a bladeless trimmer, it catches their ear. So hopefully it catches your ear too, because whether you're a grower or not, you're probably into technology. Most people are nowadays, and learning about new technology is just cool. And this is a bit of new technology. Actually, it's old technology in this. Well, I'll let him explain it. But technology, business, it's all great when it comes to cannabis business. So before we get into that, let's make sure we don't forget what we learned last week. You remember that episode? See, I've almost forgotten it already. I can't even bring it. Oh, that's right. It was with the sports nut, Mr. Drew Warner, one of my good friends. So go back, take a listen, send, share, comment, do all that. Let's quickly flash back to last week's short-term memory flashback.
You want to say who you are?
Yeah, my name's Drew Warner. I'm just Joe Schmo. I was interested in studying the NFL and certain legal obligations and problems and lawsuits, health and safety issues that are going on in the league right now, and then also how that relates to marijuana.
You've been looking into the connection of sports and cannabis, and that's what caught my attention.
Over 50 to 60% of the league's players regularly use the drug mainly for pain management. 8 NFL players who are filing a lawsuit against the NFL. And basically, the lawsuit is the league recklessly and negligently created and maintained a culture of drug misuse, substituting players' health for profit. They're looking at almost triple profits in 13 years, and they think it's feasible enough to actually announce that in the media. The way the NFL drug policy is working is they test for illegal drugs on the national level, but they test for these drugs in a 4-month period of the year between April and August in the NFL offseason, right?
It's like your parole officer telling you, hey, you're going to drop next Tuesday at 3 p.m.
As a matter of fact, the NFL and the NFL Players Association, the goal is to higher the threshold of the amount of cannabis that's allowed in your body, amount of THC, and at the same time lower the punishment if you are found guilty.
But you know, this really kills the myth that smoking cannabis or consuming cannabis makes people lazy.
Well, I don't know about playing football. It just kills the myth that stoners are just kind of fried mentally, but
they're using the drug and they're excelling to the point of being the best and the best in the world. I mean, these are guys who are, as you said, spending 9 months out of the year in a physical exertion and still able to smoke weed.
I mean, there's significant medical issues going on about what they call CTE, which basically CTE used to be called dementia pugilistica, which was basically boxing dementia, and diagnosed in boxers in the 1930s as punch-drunk syndrome. I think eventually, as the public sentiment of the country ends up turning more and more in favor of cannabis and marijuana, I think that when they realize they won't get a public relations hit by those who are anti-marijuana right now and be characterized as marijuana league or something, I think they will shift that way, or if it becomes feasible for them to do so medically and then legally with lawsuits and payouts.
Athletes, I would imagine, are using it for probably the pain relief of the physical aspect, which doesn't necessarily affect you mentally so much, as that an athlete could heavily use doses of cannabis, but a heavy indica, which would be affecting them physically from a pain relief standpoint, but not necessarily affecting them in their head where they're unable to focus. And
maybe many athletes in the NFL are actually doing that. Geniuses like Peyton Manning have that laser focus because they're smoking 9 months out of the year, and then they just wait for that for 8 months out of the year, and they wait for the 4 months off, they get tested, and they start smoking again.
One of the more interesting topics we've dove into on the Cannabis Community Project, talking about sports. Now, don't get the wrong impression from that interview. I'm not anti-sports. I just have strong opinions that, let me put it this way. I personally don't get into sports, don't follow sports, don't have teams, don't give my money to franchises, don't walk around wearing jerseys with other people's names and numbers on them, and don't pretend like I'm in the game somehow by sitting behind a TV watching people run back and forth. But other than that, I love sports, fun stuff, good exercise, and all that other jazz. We'll have some more. We're going to try to get Drew and possibly some others back on to talk about issues, because as long as we're talking about cannabis, it doesn't really matter what we talk about. We can talk about rocket science. What are those astronauts doing up in space to get their butt on? We might have to track down an astronaut. Anyways.
What do you desire?
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And after all, if you do really like what you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is. you can eventually turn it, you could eventually become a master of it. The only way to become a master of something is to be really with it. And then you'll be able to get a good fee for whatever it is. So don't worry too much. Somebody's interested in everything. And anything you can be interested in, you'll find others will. But it's absolutely stupid to spend your time doing things you don't like in order to go on spending things you don't like and doing things you don't like, and to teach your children to follow in the same track. See, what we're doing is we're bringing up children, educating them, to live the same sort of lives we're living, in order that they may justify themselves and find satisfaction in life by bringing up their children, to bring up their children to do the same thing, so it's all wretch and no vomit. It never gets there. And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question: what do I desire?
My little kit that I carry around, I call the dorm room.
Okay.
Because you're in an area where you probably don't want to be too discovered with it. A dorm room. Your parents' basement, or maybe your cubicle at work. No, I always use 3 devices. My exhale device.
Okay.
My smothering device.
Okay.
And my grinder.
Okay.
You take a hit and you exhale through there, and 99% disappears. You smother out your pipe, and you can sit in a room and smoke for a number of hours without necessarily the people sitting out in the living room being aware, or definitely the hall or your neighbors or anybody else being aware of it.
You don't want a lingering smell or whatever, right? You don't want it to stink. You don't want it to smell like
this was
a dorm room.
This was my design.
Oh, really?
So I have a whole toolbox of just parts and stuff, and I'll say my idea. For like a side business, if I had disposable money, would be basically like at the Jesse James chopper shops and the fabrication type shops. It would basically be head shop meets fabrication shop, where individuals can basically come in and have access to like a thrift store of parts and stuff that is reused from other things. Like all the stuff I'm using here is reused to candle bases, right? For the top there, my ashtray is a candle bottom that sits right on the top of one of the rubber things for cars there. Little containers, using the same thing for whatever. Just it would be like a big Habitat for Humanity store,
okay, where
they sell nails and wood and everything. It would be that type of setup, but people coming in and basically creating their own paraphernalia, right? So I created this right here to fit right over just a standard what you buy over the counter mask, right? And then its own, that being pressed into that would keep. So if I had a tool to fabricate it, I would have a thread that would thread it shut. But you have to have this, and the reason is because if you just start blowing it straight into there, it'll last you about a week and a half before it's clogged. So this is the buffer that basically does this. All right. So about every day and a half to 2 days, I switch that out with this I got from the dollar store. Right. Those little tampon round things, whatever. But that's required because this will last about 5 months of consistent using it, because it never clogs, because I'm replacing these about a day. So if you're in a dorm room or high school, right, and you're hitting your So a little bit of inefficiency around my mouth here. Not quite optimally designed to really seal that in, and because there's not a real seal there, a little bit slips out there. Because this isn't actually meant for smoke, it's more of a particle filter. It's not actually stopping all the smoke, it's just grabbing the big particles of the smoke. So with more money and better design, it would be a specifically designed filter for smoke and gas rather than a particle filter. This here, you would basically just resell from wherever, P100, North Company. This, you would then sell in conjunction with this as a package type deal with one of these, or maybe a slightly bigger one if it were a slightly bigger pipe or something, because there's 2 parts where the smoke is getting out into the air, one from the pipe
and the other from your mouth. Oops. You know, like a Dollar Shave Club, where every month they just send you, you know, razors in the mail for like $3. Like every 4 months, you would just get a package of these, maybe a new one of these, maybe the coolest version of these. You know, a little membership thing going out. And then, have you ever heard about the shop, which are for entrepreneurs, where they can go and fabricate their own designs and stuff? Basically, it would be a head shop. Instead of importing just standard, you know, pipe from here to there, pipe from there to there, it would be, come in, here's a whole wall of parts, and create your own whatever. If you want to blow some glass, here's a glass blower on site that you can hire out like a trainer at a gym. They're kind of always there, but they're there for private hire.
You know, what I can say to that is I encourage everybody to chase their dreams, and, you know,
Well, no,
the one
dream, but
sounds like it is, and I think you should embrace it.
Hi, this is True Diligence, PI, proud sponsor. If you're looking for a job in the cannabis industry, you know how fierce the competition is. Think of the character you'll demonstrate by showcasing your credentials at the beginning of the hiring process. A simple yet affordable way to show employers you're the clear choice. Visit our website at truediligencepi.com.
Move your resume to the top.
Smells so green. And now me too. Boing, 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 boing. Smells so green. Now how about you?
Lucifer, son of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of earth.
Here we go. Are you ready for this week's interview with the Trim Pal? We met them at the Cannabis Cup and thought the technology was so cool and a vital part of this industry. We had to get them on the show to talk about it. So listen and learn, grow or not. You can learn about business, you can learn about technology, or you can learn how to get your business on the air. You know, I want to talk to you. I want to learn about what you're doing in this industry with your ideas, your business, or just the thoughts that you're forming. Contact me. I want to hear from you. I want to discuss these issues on air or off air. We can do it in a group. We can do it one-on-one. We can do it at your location. We can do it over the phone. This is the new media world. Talking about health, legal issues, food, music, growing technology, and everything else. So you got a business, you want to get it on the air, you have something to say to the Cannabis Community Project, right here's the place to do it. Let's listen in to this week's interview with Scott from Trim Pal and learn about the difference between dry trimming, wet trimming, pole trimming versus cutting trimming. Oh, so much controversy. Here we go. Sit back, relax, grind and burn.
Jeremy with Neil Farms, Trim Pal.
And you're out in Grand Junction?
Close. We're here in Western Slope now, Glenwood Springs, little town in the mountains, sir.
So you just do a lot of traveling around to different areas in Colorado?
I sure do that, but I do mostly a lot of shipments out of here.
Now, the dry trim is the specific product. Do you have multiple products at your company?
Well, we just have the Trim Pal. We have a few sizes in the Trim Pal, but the dry trim is our machine only trims dry. Most of the trim machines out there trim wet. We went with the design that only trim dry. That's how it's been done for millennia. So we figured that's the best way to do it. This machine is more of like a dryer, right? So there's a dryer and a basket. Yeah, the tumbler. There you go.
Okay, excellent. And how long have you been in business?
We've been in business for about only a year and a half, but we've seen significant growth in that time. So in about over 800 units just in that short amount of time.
Excellent.
So it's been a real hit.
So just over a year, are you coming from a previous cannabis background, or are you from a completely different industry?
I come from the agricultural background, but I did some growing back in California, mostly outdoor, and that's where, this machine's been a big hit because of the capacity level.
So the tumbler here, this is designed for larger operations, large grow houses. This is not a personal use item?
Well, originally it was designed for the outdoor California growers, the guys that are pulling down the, 8-pound plants. And they have, hundreds of pounds to process. And, they're not looking to have 20 guys on their property with millions of dollars worth of products sitting there, risking their life. So, I mean, the machine, even if you run your product, 60% and then still hand trim the rest, you're still saving a lot of time. I mean, I'm paying per pound rather than per hour.
So that makes sense from a cost perspective, and just to help people understand from a visual perspective, it looks like a dryer tumbler that spins in a circle cylinder. What is the exact technology?
Well, the machine, so the basket rotates. Inside the basket, there's, thousands of slots. The product's dry and tumbling within there. The tumbling actually gives it a, good amount of knocking off that product alone, and the product's, tumbling within itself, on top of itself, and then when those little leaves fall into those holes, there's a stationary sling underneath the basket that kind of acts as like scissors. So when it's rotating, it just, slowly just pulls out those leaves rather than cutting it. There's no blades on the machine. This sling is about an eighth of an inch spaced off the basket. So when those fall in there, it's only pulling what's needing to be pulled. There's no cutting. So there's no chopping, unlike other trimmers, and it's a slow rotating 16 RPM Dayton motor, rather than, 100 miles per hour that you would need to pull off those, real fibrous, non-dry, if you were trimming wet pieces off of the material. So
that's an interesting point you're making about being pulled off versus cut off. So I'm not real versed on trimming or growing myself. Can you help me understand why pulling versus cutting would be more of an advantage?
Well, when you're trimming wet, or when you're pulling down huge rooms, like say they're doing in Denver, they have a short amount of time. If they decide to go with the wet method, then they have, hours, and they have to have those trimmers on site and in there trimming right on the site, or that product's going to start drying up. Once it starts drying, then they have to change up their whole operation. With dry, you just cut the plants down, hang them upside down. You're getting some cure. You're getting better smell. You're releasing that chlorophyll out of the product, and you have more time to process your material throughout that point. I would also say that the wet machines or wet trimming, I believe, smears the trichomes. That's why when you're trimming, your scissors get all sticky. Those are all the trichomes coming off onto your, scissors, gunking them up because you're smearing them. They're not dried yet and set on the bud. They haven't stuck on there.
Right. Well, that's a good point you bring up. How does tumbling how does it not create excess knocking off of your trichomes and your crystals on the leaves? How do you you work around that from basically delivering an end product that's been wiped clean because it's been tumbled around so much?
Well, I would say that it's not knocking off trichomes, because those trichomes are like glued on there. So any that do fall off, that's okay, because then you're recapturing them down there in that high quality sweet leaf that you don't get when you trim wet. So when you trim dry, you get that high quality sweet leaf for the concentrates that sells more for, that stuff's selling for more than an ounce of gold. It's worth more than gold, so you're not losing anything. You're just redistributing it.
Oh, okay. So the machine is designed to, whatever is being knocked off or trimmed, to go into one area, and the trim stuff goes into another. It separates it so you can still
into another product. See, but with the wet stuff, these guys that are doing these extracts, they don't like to work with the wet stuff. There's some processes needed, drying and all that, and then you have black material with a lot of chlorophyll in it. Chlorophyll is the worst enemy to extracting. This basically gives you, especially if you're growing just for extraction, you're getting two qualities of material. So you're pretty much doubling up your revenue and potential profits. So
to clarify that, when somebody's growing plants specifically to use in extracts or edibles or concentrates, there might be a slightly different process in how they grow and then how they go about trimming and carrying the whole process versus somebody who's growing for the flower bud to be smoked.
No doubt.
Okay.
No doubt.
Interesting.
And,
I hadn't heard that.
I've done some tests. On, THC loss. And, we did some tests out in California, and with our machine, it lost about 2% kz. You didn't lose it. It just got redistributed. So it did knock off about 2%. That's the truth right there. But then you're coming out with that grade A trim, right?
Right.
And that grade A trim is selling, once it's processed, for more than the marijuana itself, the buds, the flowers.
Because it
so,
has...
I'm not going to tell them. Yeah, we can't tell anybody how to do it, but most guys are switching over to this dry trim thing now. It's what's happening, and our goal is to become, because of the simplicity of our machine, become the industry standard in the trim machine, as this whole market opens up.
Interesting. Are you one of the founders of the company, or is this your conception, your idea?
It's not specifically my conception. It's similar to another design that's out there. We rebuilt it, made it out of steel, did the pulling action, patented the easygoing operation of the rotating of the barrel, and lowered the price about half. And I pretty much, I handle the sales and opening up the whole business development. I'm not making the machines per se. That's my partners back in California.
Okay.
But I'll be your guy to demo and make sure you get one in your hands.
Is there some unique technology that's being patented, or is this a redesign?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. So our patents fall under the ease of use, and then specifically the patent being filed under the use of the machine for cannabis, and pretty much making it better, with steel, better motor, and pulling action. Our numbers in the first year kind of show that, loving this machine.
Excellent. Now, where do you, since you've only been a year and a half, is that what you said, a year and a half in business, where is your main target? Is it Washington and Colorado and California, or do you have a certain strategy you're going about as you start out here?
So far it's been California and Colorado. We've had a lot of hits up in Oregon for the outdoor guys up there. California's been the pot of gold for us. Mostly outdoor, but the indoor guys are catching on real quick down in LA. And then a lot of the larger guys out here are catching on.
Right, some of the bigger and faster grow companies, and those who are, I assume, dealing with higher volume products are always out looking for better technology to make that process faster and cheaper. What is
no doubt, and the quality.
Absolutely. Well, what's the plan for the future as you work through different states with different regulations? Is there anything specifically you fall under that is preventing or enabling you to do business because of the industry? I assume you're not dealing with any actual product, right? You're just selling the machines themselves. Is there anything you've had to do differently, though, because of the industry?
nothing different. We'll just keep pushing forward and getting that marketing out there. We opened it up for stores in a lot of states, pushing these things into the UK, Europe. They're starting to like them over there. Uruguay, they're looking at them down there. And then, in states that are only doing extract-only bills, I mean, we're still in the game because they're still going to need a trimmer there. In Canada, there are some, different regulations on having to grind up the flower. We're working on a grinder system basket retrofit for up in Canada.
What do you mean, a different system or regulation for grinding? What does that mean?
Well, it seems that some of the provinces up in Canada in their medical marijuana industry that, they're needing to grind up their flowers before they can send them out. So believe it or not, they have to grind it up, bag it up, put it in a box, and ship it through the mail service up there to the patient.
Huh.
So,
I wonder what that's all about. I don't understand that. I wonder
corporatocracy.
Yeah, like what's the goal? What are they trying to accomplish on that one? Just make it difficult and poor quality product to be delivered to patients?
That's what it seems. It seems like it's turning real corporate up there. We've got also that just debuted a 1-pound machine as well. We put that together because what I found out here in Colorado was, a lot of these guys aren't growing 8 pounds of one strain at one time like they are in California outdoor. So we kind of had to adjust and adapt and build a smaller machine. Same thing, just, smaller size for the guys that are growing, multiple strains. They could have multiple machines to be running at one point.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially with the majority probably being indoor grows here. Now, does your product require an individual to go out and do a demonstration, or can dispensaries order these off a line or go into a grow shop? Where do they find it?
Yeah, they're available at grow shops. I love to go do the demos because the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
And a lot of guys don't want to put down the money without seeing it, and that's one thing that our company offers. I see that a lot of these guys don't. These guys sell a machine and then people don't like it, and then they're stuck and out $15,000. We'll come and do the demo for you, run it, and make sure you're happy before you buy it. So it's a well-built machine that people love.
Well, is that the price range that we're looking at with these type of trimmers?
No, that's what you're looking at with a lot of other trimmers. On this machine, you're actually looking at a price range around $2,700 for the small unit, $4,700 for the large unit.
Oh, wow.
So it's all American made. All American made. We got guys in the Emerald Triangle. They ran close to 1,000 pounds, and the machine just keeps going. It's a brushless, gearless Dayton motor. We're creating U.S. jobs here and no outsourcing.
So what's the 2.0 version? What's coming out next?
Well, right now, we've had some requests actually for a bigger model. So the 4-pound model runs about, depending on dryness, denseness, and all those different factors, 4 to 8 pounds an hour. Guys are looking to purchase a 8-pound machine, so that would run 16 pounds an hour, believe it or not, if they want it. But right now, we're pretty much just staying on track with the machines that we have, getting those out before we move on to new developments, spread ourselves too thin.
Well, that sounds good, and it sounds like you're having to put on a lot of miles on the road right now to kind of take these from home show to home show, different events.
About 40,000 miles in 6 months. So.
Oh, wow. Well, you can get some books on tape. That's a lot of miles. Are you doing this on your own, or do you work in a team? Or how does
we work in a team. So we got some guys down in Southern California, Northern California, Central California. Here in Colorado, I'm your man. But I do a lot of shipping back to California, on the online side of things.
Is shipping an efficient way of going about purchasing this? I assume it's a heavy metal, bulky object.
The machine is about 100 pounds altogether with the stand. You throw that on a smaller pallet, and you're looking at 120 pounds, and shipment's about $150. So it's not bad, and we do free shipping for all our customers. So.
Yeah, well, it's just a fraction of a cost for the price of the machine, and it sounds like it's overall pretty affordable.
Most of these guys have to see it to believe it. That's just how it goes with this stuff.
Well, where can people see it? Do you have a YouTube channel or a Facebook? Do you have some videos put together that people in the audience?
We do. Yeah, we're on YouTube. We have a website, trim-pal.com. We lost trimpal.com to some weight loss system, but trim-pal.com. And there's videos there, pricing, frequently asked questions, testimonials, and then, willing to in areas that, we're not in, like, Michigan and areas like that. We have some customers out there that'll do demos for us for other customers that are looking to get in. So we're in Arizona, Texas, Florida, Rhode Island, Michigan, Canada, UK, California, Washington, Oregon, all throughout. So we're slowly hitting every state and making a sale.
Very good. Well, since you're growing to other states, I always like to ask companies if you're hiring. So if somebody's listening in the audience that would like to be involved in the cannabis industry with some type of employment, do you guys are you at a point right now in your company of growth where you're taking on more people?
Well, actually, we're always looking for sales reps to come on a commission-based. When guys bring their friends and give me referrals, we definitely always give them commissions. Mm-hmm. So it is one way to go, and guys can make a good living if, they're determined to go out there, get clients. If they prove themselves, we'll even set them up with the machine to be out there and make a full-time job out of it.
Great. And they can contact you to talk about that through the website?
They sure can. They sure can.
That's good. I always like to do my part to help people get employed, to try to lower the unemployment gap, doing my part in the world.
Mm-hmm. We're not hiring, salary-based or hourly-based, but, the commission's real enticing for folks that put their feet on the ground and get some sales going. So even more so than salary or hourly.
Well, it's a good start. I mean, everybody has to start somewhere, and there's a lot of people who are interested in being involved in the cannabis industry, working, doing something. In dispensaries here in Colorado, there's not a lot of employment really available. And outside of creating your own job, which is the majority of people I talk to where they just create their own jobs and companies, I think sales is actually a great way to go because it gets you interacting with people, you learn about products, and you have the chance to actually go around the country and see what other people are doing. So I think it's a great opportunity.
I agree.
Commission or salary, either or. If somebody's motivated enough to work in the industry, they won't be shy about going out there and meeting people and making some sales. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch on with the company? Anything that we missed or anything we should highlight?
Well, we're going to potentially be launching a rental service down in Denver. Oh. The specifics aren't there yet, but we'll definitely be putting out some advertising. That's one possibility for employment or hiring for somebody once we get that all put together and ready.
Like being the leasing office for that, being the holder of the equipment?
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be a good...
Exactly. A lot of guys, they don't need to buy the machine.
Right. Because they're just not big enough operations to sustain a full-time grow and trim. But it's a good idea because anytime somebody can rent, lease, or just make things more efficient in the moment, I think is going to help the overall industry. And there's a lot of very small kind of mom and pop dispensaries around that are struggling that a machine like this could definitely make their business more efficient and profitable, but then it requires that upfront investment, which a lot of them just don't have. They're struggling to maintain their license and their compliance here in Colorado, which is very expensive. That I think it's a great idea. Matter of fact, more companies should look at ways to make their products cheaper, like cell phones. Every couple of years, you just upgrade and get the next one.
And this is all about, and then, this machine's all about quality. A lot of the machines I see out there, like I said, they spin so quick that they're smearing it, and they're rounding off the buds. I don't know if you remember at the cup, I showed you some photos of some finished product, and it was getting in the crevices. It wasn't rounding them all off and taking away the crevices. It was getting in there, pulling, and leaving the bud to be its own unique piece of art.
Well,
each and every one.
Did you have a video running at the booth that was showing that up close?
We had some photos on top of the machines, and you know, a lot of things that drew the growers in were when I would mention that there were no blades. You know, growers would walk by, oh, another trim machine. I gave up on those things.
Right.
And then when I would mention, you know, no blades, no blades, no blades, that's when they would just come right back and want to hear what it's about.
That might be a good indicator that there might need to be a slight change in messaging, maybe in the name, maybe add like a bladeless trim pail or something that highlights that in the name or up front. Yeah, the second you say trim, the first thing that comes to mind is going to be some type of blade type system with a cutting or something. So I think it's good if you can get people's attention. Get their attention.
Sometimes we say it's not a trimmer, it's a puller, you know?
Oh, there you go.
It's not a trimmer, it's a puller. So there's a slogan there for you. So.
Well, that's good, because in the world of marketing and products, there's always a need to make things very exact and precise. Cool. Have we missed anything? Is there anything else that you'd like to throw out there?
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the video's on YouTube, websites online, call for demos, call for rental, any questions. And essentially, if anybody's looking to push the machine to their buddies, there's some cash involved for them.
And they can get you straight from the website, and that is trim-pal.com, TRIM dash, a little hyphen mark there, PAL.com.
You got it.
Thanks for listening to this week's show. Make sure to come back next week. We're going to have more guests lined up, speaking with dispensary owners, growers, business owners. Make sure to follow us on all of the social media, Facebook, Kush Common, Google+. You can listen to our shows live from the website or your preferred listening platform. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, even YouTube, all under the same name, CannabisCommunityProject.com. We'll see you next week.